You know, if you study people who are at the pinnacle of anything, you recognize that to get there, motivation was maybe 1% of the formula. Maybe. 1%. And I'll prove it to you. If you want to become a world-class bodybuilder, say an IFBB pro, what that takes is you have to train twice a day, 6 days a week. You have to have 8 meals a day. Your calorie intake is regimented. Your meals are pre-planned and pre-cooked. You don't eat according to taste, you eat according to function. So my trainer, for instance, will eat and I'm going, what are you eating? And he's having he'll have chicken that was boiled without salt. And he'll have like half a kilo of it. And what are you doing? He says, I'm taking in protein. He doesn't say I'm eating. He says, I'm taking in protein. For him, it's functional. It's not taste-based. Then you will probably have to train for a minimum. And this is if you are a genetic phenom. You'd have to train for a minimum of 10 years before you could get on a stage and compete at an average level with an average global bodybuilder. Average. Okay. So why am I telling you this? All of us here at the beginning of a new year write these things called New Year's resolutions. And then New Year's resolutions, number 1, make more money. Yeah? Number 2, change my boyfriend. Number 3, get into shape. Yeah? Number 3, get into shape is somewhere in the top 3. So what do? You go to the gym, you get a gym membership. Yeah? You go to the local Nike store and you buy like all of your gym gear. You are motivated. You are inspired. You are going to the damn gym. You go to YouTube, you subscribe to all of the fitness channels. You go to your Instagram, you follow all of the fitness models. You are motivated. You are going to the damn gym. You're going to get in shape. That's what you're going to do. The people you're following on YouTube have been working on for a minimum of 5 years to look like that. So you have the incorrect understanding that after a month of working out, you're going to look like them. So what happens in the first month? You're excited. You go to gym every single month, and you take the pains and your body is sore, but I'm excited. I'm going to gym. Then life happens. Company doesn't make money. You don't make your targets. You fall a bit ill. Something happens. And all of a sudden you stop going to gym for a day. A day becomes 2, 2 becomes a week. Now all of a sudden you've had a gym membership for 3 months and you haven't been in that time. What did you miss? You thought motivation was the formula. Winners don't need motivation. Winners need discipline. Discipline's about getting it done because it needs to get done, not because I feel like it, not because I'm motivated for it. You think Nelson Mandela was motivated to spend 27 years in prison? You think Martin Luther King was motivated to march across the states and proclaim freedom? You think, if you look at people that change the world, they're not doing it because they're motivated. They're doing it because they made a commitment to do it and they disciplined to see it through. Discipline is far more important than motivation, which is why you got to be careful the decisions you make. Because once you make the decision, you have to see that decision through. Like my mentor says, first we make the decisions, then the decisions make us. So you got to be very careful the decisions you make. Be very careful the commitments you make. Motivation, I'm telling you now, is completely overrated. It's important. Don't get me wrong. We meet according to motivation. We feel good, rah-rah. But that'll fade. You need a stronger will and a deeper commitment to see things through.
One of my key phrases for the whole day: disciplines work miracles. Disciplines work miracles.
And I believe collectively as a group, we're going to kick the competition's butt because we understand how important it is to think, execute, and dominate. Suck it up. Get tough. Suck it up. Get tough. People want to have success. People want to make a lot of money, but they want it to be easy without any challenges. You think it was easy for me to become one of the top 450 basketball players in the world that you never heard of? The only way I made it to the NBA is I was fundamentally sound, I was mentally tough, and I never quit. And even when I wanted to quit, I had people in my life that would make sure I didn't quit. I hired and set out the top 10 motivational speakers, watched all their videos, and I watched them one by one because I understand that if I pay attention to what the best are doing, I could be the best too. I watched game film on Michael Jordan. No matter how much I watched, I couldn't do what Michael Jordan could do. I would watch Magic Johnson. I couldn't do what Magic Johnson would do, but I sat there and had these videos. I watched Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, but my wife was scared. I was scared. I called into my office and I said what husbands say. I said, babe, we're going to be okay. Every month the checking account is dwindling. I said, babe, we're going to be okay. Let's start a motivational speaking business. I go to Jerry Sloan and I say, Jerry, I'm trying to make your team, but since we don't scrimmage, I feel like I can't show you what I can do. Go to Corral, hear me clearly, listen to his answer, and it will unlock some mysteries as to how you become the best in the world at what you do over a long period of time. Jerry, I'm trying to make your team, but I feel like I can't show you what I can do. He says, Walter, I already know what you can do, but if you want to make my team, I suggest you listen, follow directions, and execute. Listen, follow directions, and execute. What I didn't realize, even though we didn't scrimmage and practice, throughout practice, we did drills, and he created what I call habits and rituals. Every single day, practice was the same. Every single day, we drilled on fundamentals. Every single day, we worked on the habits and rituals. So even though my mind was floating, even though I was selfish and self-centered, he was conditioning me into the culture through practice of habits and rituals. The reason why I tripled my NBA income in 3 years is because of habits and rituals. Next year, if your name didn't get called to come across the stage, I'm here to tell you they will call your name next year if you go back home and execute habits and rituals. I wanted to scrimmage for me, but Jerry Sloan was getting me ready to play for the Utah Jazz. So every day it was about habits and rituals. Having hot food is about habits and rituals. Great customer service is about habits and rituals. Being the best in the world at what you do, being a pro, is all about habits.
The heart of a champion. What does it take to really truly be a champion? Well, it takes more than excuses. It takes more than just giving yourself a pass. There are only so many champions in the world. And true champions understand what dedication and hard work really is. True champions understand if you're going to be a lion, you got to know what it means to go through the jungle. You can't pretend or fake it just to make it. To be a champion. When everybody else is sleeping, the champion is the one that wakes up. The champion gets up before the sun comes up. The champion is the one that never lets the sun catch them sleeping. There will become a time when you have to realize that you got to put in the work and you got to understand that if you're going to do it, you better do it with the right attitude. Because attitude is what's going to take to get you to the level that you need to be and beyond it. Champions don't just come overnight. Champions have to grow. Champions have to work. Champions have to dig. Champions have to believe. Champions don't have time to wait around for something to happen on its own. Being a champion takes work, grit, and understanding that if you're trying to be better than the opponent, you got to work a little bit harder than the person that you up against.
You must build a mindset for success. A mindset that can endure pain and struggle because it will come. Your mindset will make or break you.
A champion has to make significant sacrifices. A champion has to be disciplined. A champion has to be hungry. You got to dedicate everything about you.
Train like a champion.
Champions understand that discipline is always the key.
There is no winning in excuses. There are no victories and giving up. You got to understand within you is greatness. Within you is something that is waiting to be awakened. You are the one that is responsible for this work that must be done. Everyone wants to be great at something. but wanting it and doing something about it and ultimately needing it is going to take work. It's going to take dedication, because procrastination is the assassination of your motivation that would ultimately lead you to your destination. Make sure you understand that you're going to have to put something in it to get something out. A champion does not worry. It doesn't concern themselves about challenges that they have to face. They realize that they have to put in work. They realize that every opponent that they face is an opportunity to go a little farther up that ladder. You're not worthy to be a champion if you don't apply yourself to be one. You're not worthy to hold on to a title if you don't have the integrity and the understanding and the grit and what you need to do to maintain what it means to be a champion.
But what we want to do is overcome the emotion, because that's just what's lasting from the event. So you sit a person down, and the moment you sit them down, what do you think the body's going to do? It's going to look for something to recreate that emotion, because that's the person's identity. Are you with me still? Yes. So if I make the person, if I inspire the person to sit there, and they're sitting there, and all of a sudden they're noticing that they're hot, and they're irritated, and their stomach is twisting, and all of a sudden it's a group of sensations, a group of feelings that they have called all along frustration. But the different sensations, the moment you name it, it becomes an emotion. But what it is just bodily sensations. It's energy that's stuck in the body. So the body is looking to go back to the past. It's believing it's in the past. Are you with me still? So if the person becomes aware that their body is doing that, and like training an animal, allow the body to feel that emotion and then settle it down into the present moment. When you settle it down into the present moment, the body starts to trust the present moment and move out of the past. And there's a release of energy. Then the body goes, well, wait a second, what's going to happen in the next moment? And it starts doing that. And it starts to try and anticipate the future. And you settle the body back down into the present moment. And every time you do that, you're telling the body it's no longer the mind, that you're the mind and your will is getting greater than the program. And all of a sudden you start to lower the volume to that emotion. And when you begin to break the addiction to that emotion, the side effect of breaking that addiction is called joy. It's called freedom. All of a sudden the body's saying, I don't want to be tormented anymore. Now, does that mean you shouldn't grieve over things that you lose? Grieving is a biological process. It's neural pruning. It's a death of circuitry. It's a death of emotions. It's the absence, a void of something in your life. And that's important, but in grief, sooner or later, you got to come to a greater understanding about death, a greater understanding about loss, a greater understanding so that you can adapt to those conditions. Every time I sit with someone and they start complaining about their life, and I let them go for a few minutes, and then I go, oh! You know what I say to them? You only complain about your life when it's not working. And the emotion that you're feeling right now is keeping you connected to the past. You never do this when your life is working. And so I don't have a problem with moving through the stages of emotions. But I also know that what a person really wants more than anything else is to be free. People want to be free. And I have witnessed transformation on every culture, on every skin color, every shape, every size, every age. I've witnessed it. And the same radiance that takes place in a person's face, a light behind their eyes, a different physical presentation of their face is eminent, it's real. And that person has worked to overcome themselves. And so it's not that we shouldn't feel emotions. We should feel those emotions and feel them completely. And like a child, get over it though.
And people these days, they say, oh, you know, you gotta let your emotions out. You gotta let your emotions out. If you gotta cry. And I understand where that's coming from. And you can get to a point as a person, if there's something that's really traumatic that's happening and all you do is hold it in. And I've seen guys get destroyed over that because they're not expressing the emotions that they have. Right. But that's at a big level, right? At a daily level, no. Yeah. You don't express those things. You keep them inside. That's why I say it like that. Like I'm being kind of sarcastic, but at the same time I'm being serious.
Yeah.
You know, it's just don't let your emotions out and into the world. Yeah. Keep them for yourself. Own them.
Yeah.
Keep them for yourself. Don't share them with other people if you don't have to.
Yeah.
Now, again, people are going to freak out that I'm saying this because you bury your emotions. Because that what happens when you when you've got something really traumatic that you bury, then it eats you apart. And I've talked about that. I mean, talking about things that you go through in life and expressing those feelings that you have about them, that's good. But what we're talking about is not that. What we're talking about is daily emotions, little ups and downs, little tick marks on your Richter scale. We're not talking about an 8.8 on the Richter scale, right? We're talking about just like little twos.
Yeah.
And when you express those 2s and 3s on the Richter scale out to people, you just look unstable. It's a great point that oftentimes expressing your emotions to the world doesn't improve your situation or your position at all.
Correct.
In fact, I would say that most of the time, expressing your emotions to the world sets you back. And that is why I vote in many cases to stifle your emotions. Keep them in.
Yeah.
Don't let other people see. You put your cards on the table, right? You put your emotional cards on the table. Now you can't gamble anymore. You're not in the game anymore. The person knows what's going on. That you're giving it to them. You're not going to know what I'm thinking. You're going to think everything's cool with me. Yeah. We're training jiu-jitsu, right? If I'm getting frustrated and I show that to you, what does that do? You're getting, all of a sudden, you just go level up. You think, oh, I got him. He's frustrated right now. He can't. Oh, I'm working. This is working against him. If I'm just saying the same face all the time, which is what I do primarily, hey, same face all the time. Just, moving the same way. When you do get me, I forget what you say. When you get me to react to something good.
Recognize the urgency.
Yeah, you say, oh, I recognize a little urgency there. And I always go, damn. I don't want him to recognize. I'd rather just have you just pass my guard and you're just there and me just sit there like it's no big deal because it's not. Then me get all panicky. Yeah. Where then you level up a little bit. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with life, right? Yep. Every time you express these big emotions to your boss or to your team, you express these big emotions to your team, they see all your cards. Don't let them see all your cards. Is this manipulating? Kind of. Right? This is one of those things where people think, oh, transparency. We hear that all the time these days. Transparency. You got to be transparent. No, actually you don't.
Yeah, not with that.
You don't have to be transparent all the time. Yeah. You have to win the game. You know what? Does the football coach go out and hand his playbook to the other football team? No. He's got to win the game.
Yeah, typically no.
And that's not how you win the game. So are we, what we're doing? We're playing chess. It's emotional chess. You're playing with other human beings. You want to win. Now, if you're winning so that I can take advantage of you, so I can manipulate you and get something from you that you don't want to give me, that's bad. And I'm not talking about doing that. But if what I'm doing is keeping my calm so that instead of escalating an argument with you, I'm getting you to see it from my perspective just by remaining calm, that's what we're talking about here.
And what is an emotion? And again, like a thought is an energy entity, an emotion too is an entity that is an energy form. You cannot see it, but you can only see how it manifests in the external world. But an emotion is an energy form that lives in you. It's a little entity. And if you recognize it, then there's an awareness there. Without awareness, often you can easily be run by your emotions. And that means the emotion whether it be, let's say, it could be anger, it could be sadness, could be anxiety, whatever it may be, deep regret, jealousy, envy, whatever it is, the emotion, this energy invades, which at first you might feel in the body, it then rises up into your mind, and then it controls your thinking. So when you feel deeply negative, then or angry, then the emotion rises into your mind, and every thought reflects the emotion that you feel, because the emotion is thinking through you. And the emotion is feeding on your thoughts. So the loop happens, the vicious circle. The emotion creates thought, and the thought amplifies the emotion. So in the case of anger, you get more and more angry. The more you think about it, the more angry you get. Until finally you lash out, completely lost. And of course, if it's a child also experiences that. Sometimes some children have temper tantrums, and or they may other very violent emotions. Some children have learned that the only way they can get attention from their parents is by displaying violent emotions, because otherwise parents don't give them attention. So a child would say, as you know, if you're probably aware of the term I use, pain body. Pain body is the term I use for an accumulation of old emotion that still lives in you. It's unrecognized as emotion. It lives in you as an entity. It's an accumulation of negative emotion, or often goes back to early childhood. An accumulation of negative emotion that hasn't left you, that dwells in your body somewhere. And I call it the pain body. And it's helpful to look at it as a little entity almost, an entity that lives in you, a gremlin.
Take ownership. Take extreme ownership. Don't make excuses. Don't blame any other person or any other thing. Don't hide your delicate pride from the truth. Everyone took ownership of their mistakes. Everyone took ownership of the problems. Take ownership of your job, of your future, and take ownership of your life. And lead yourself and your team and the people in your life. Lead them all to victory.
There is a certain mentality that is associated with winners. Because there's a mentality. This is not about money. It's not about anything tangible. There's a mentality that goes along with winning.
Trying to learn early the consequences of errors in judgment, poor behavior, and then try to learn from others that have gone down a disastrous road, and sure enough, they suffered the consequences, and you say, wow, then I'm going to change direction because I don't want those consequences.
And to the positive, once you get that mentality, you can listen at a person talk a few minutes and either it feeds you or it doesn't. And you learn sooner or later that things that don't feed you, you don't spend time fooling with it, because it is counterproductive to where you're trying to go. You don't argue with people. You stop arguing with people. You just move aside and go on in your own direction because you finally got it on the right road, and you don't want anything to blow you off course. And now that you've got your focus, you want to be able to maintain your focus and keep moving forward. Likewise, failing has a pathology. You can get in around failing people and have failing circumstances and listen at negative talk talking, and after a while you find yourself unable to get back up again, because not only are you down, but what is worse is your environment is down, and everybody who's talking to you is talking down, and you develop a mentality built around your condition.
Learning from errors in judgment. A few simple disciplines practiced every day. Now you're on the road to success. A few errors in judgment repeated, and you can turn anything around.
Anybody who's not ever willing to risk will never do very much in this world. And in all probability, you'll end up being quite bored with your life. A couple things that I said last night that I don't want you to forget is walking by faith is taking step one before you know what step two is. After a few times, you get a little more used to it and it's not quite as scary, but taking a step of faith is stepping out to do something when you don't know how it will be provided for.
How you gonna show power if you're not up under attack? How you gonna show resistance if something's not trying to pull you over? Resist, resist. Stop being neutral and stop being indifferent. Resist. Take a stand and resist.
You know, courage mounts up, and then sometimes we have the doubts that creep in, and we reach a little deeper to find that courage that overcomes our doubts and our fears. Courage to do what you didn't think you could do. The courage to step into territory that might be a little unfamiliar. The courage to talk to somebody you don't know. Courage to stand up when it's sort of dark in your corner. The courage to do it when it isn't going your way, seemingly.
Be strong and very courageous. Be strong and very courageous. Be strong and be of good courage. Be strong and possess the land.
Don't wait anymore. Don't think anymore. Don't plan anymore. Don't contemplate anymore. Don't make any more excuses or justifications. Don't rationalize anything else. No and no. Instead, be aggressive. Take action now. And what is the first action that you need to take? Take the step. Step aggressively towards your fear. And that step towards your fear is the step into bravery. Because we're scared of what we don't know. And there's only one way to learn and to know, and that is to confront that fear. You have to step, you have to go. And this simple action, this simple attitude, it answers so many questions. How do you change your diet? You step, you go. You step, you go. How do you overcome fear of failure or fear of success or fear of fear itself? You step.
Face everything and rise. That's what a few people will do. The ones who will face everything and run, they've already gone to look at television and constant negative news and other drama stuff and go to bed fearful tonight. They won't even get a good night's sleep. This is for people that are positive, that are motivated, and that are hungry. I can't say this enough. Work on your mind. Listen to things that empower you, that builds your spirit, that's got your name on it. Listen, why? Because faith comes by hearing and hearing and hearing. Oh, I heard it before. No, listen until you're producing the results. If you're not producing the results, you haven't heard it enough. You got to listen till it goes past the conscious mind to the subconscious mind. So you need a coach, somebody that can see what you can't see.
We all have doubts that attack us. We all have small fears that creep in. That is the nature of life. But that's what faith is all about. That's what courage is all about. To serve us when our doubts will not serve us well. Faith to overcome fear and courage to overcome our doubts. That, of course, is the very essence of life itself. Because we all have this warfare going on. In our own body, the warfare between health and illness. The struggle is on. The struggle between light and darkness, the struggle between good and evil. We must drive the dark side of our nature into a small corner and let the positive side flourish. So self-control is certainly necessary to be a strong leader, so that you can become the best example of choosing wise words and not being careless, that kind of control.
Fear, it's going to be overwhelming, but I'm telling you, you close your eyes at night and you go to bed and fear, it's overwhelming, but I'm telling you, if there's just a hint of faith, some of you are waiting for great faith. You don't need great faith. You can move a mountain. Fear creates mountains. Faith removes mountains.
That once a person's mind is expanded with an idea, it can never be satisfied to going back to where it was. So some of you are going to experience a breakthrough. Some of you are going to go back and look at your dreams and brush them off. Whatever goal that you have in mind, I want that to be a goal that will challenge you, something that will make you stretch. What is it that you looked at some point in time and you decided that you couldn't do it, that you talked yourself out of it? Whatever it is, bring it back out there. How you're going to do it, that will come to you in due time. You've got to begin to take a look at your life and look at where are you right now? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What gives your life a sense of fulfillment, a sense of joy? What is it that you could love doing 7 days a week? So you don't get in life what you want, ladies and gentlemen. You get in life what you are, not what you want. See, the good news is that we can always become more by working to develop ourselves. Think about that.
I fought my way up. I fought to get to work. I fought to stand. I fought to carry on. I fought to live. I fought to get out the bed. I fought with my fears, my anxieties. I fought with haters, liars, backbiters, and betrayers. And many times I laid in the bed. I couldn't go to sleep because I was fighting with myself. I fought.
Why don't you let the people in your life off the hook? Maybe they did the best they could. They may have made decisions that you don't understand. Feels like it put you at a disadvantage, but you didn't have to walk in their shoes. Maybe nobody gave them what they needed to give to you. Bottom line, nobody owes you anything. God is keeping all the records. He has seen everything that's happened in your life.
You got to make changes. You got to say no. You got to disappoint people. You got to walk away from some stuff. You have to.
The injustice, the bad breaks, the person that did you wrong, those people cannot pay you back. They cannot make you whole. Only God can. Quit looking to people to make it up to you. Quit trying to get somebody to apologize, to admit they were wrong, to give you what they don't have. If you'll go to God, He'll bring you out better. He'll make the rest of your life more rewarding, more fulfilling than it would have been if that hadn't happened in the first place.
Some people get it the first time they hear it. And then some folks got to go home and chew on it and think about it and turn it over in their mind. And sometimes it takes a year, 5 years, 8 years. You can't be impatient with the seed coming up because every seed does not come up at the same time. You have to be patient with the soil. You have to tend it. You have to take care of it. You have to make sure that when the seed is ready to be cast, that the soil is ready to receive it.
I ask you to start that same journey. Let your new skills, new disciplines affect all of the rest. 6/7 of our life was to be devoted to labor and work, to produce a good family, to produce an enterprise. That's the essence of life in its best form first, is to be a producer. What is the reason for the seed and the soil and the sunshine and the rain and the seasons of life and its miracle? What's the reason for all of that? Here it is in a nutshell for your notes. To see what you can do with it. We've got books to read and we've got classes to attend and we've got, things to do and things to learn. And if you put it all together, you can have not only your health, but your fortune. Why not see what you can do with what you've been handed? As basic as seed and soil and sunshine and rain. Only God can create the sunshine, the rain, the seasons, the miracle of life. But here's what humans can do. Recreate those components into a harvest. By planting the seed, reaping the rewards in the harvest. We call that recreation. To take your hours and your energy and your life and a bit of skill and actually recreate a career, a future, possibilities, fortune, recreate.
I mean, really, how many years ago did you come up with what you could and couldn't do in your life? How many years ago? Most people, if they really look at how they're living their life today, it's based on a set of standards, a set of beliefs that they made choices about 10, 20, 30 or more years ago. I mean, very often we made decisions in our youth or very young about what to believe, about what we were capable of, about who we are as a person, and that becomes the glass ceiling, if you will, that controls us. I'll give you an example. Look at your physical body. Your physical body today is an absolute reflection of only one thing. Not your goals, not your desires, but your standards. Again, the strongest force in the human personality is this need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves.
So when you begin to say, what is it that I want to leave? What contribution that I want to begin to make? What difference do I want to make in life? What chances I need to take? What risks do I need to begin to embrace? What fears do I need to step on? What areas of my life am I dead right now? What dreams? You can either live your dreams or live your fears. You have got to get to a point where you say, I'm sick and tired of living like this. There's got to be more. That's when people go out and strike out on their dreams.
You don't always get your goals, but you always get your standards. Everybody in life gets their musts. They don't get their shoulds. Most people have a list of shoulds, don't they? Don't you have a list of the shoulds, things you should do, you should follow through on? I should get into the office earlier. I should be, more confident. Whatever your should list is, when you decide something is a must for you, an absolute must, when you cut off any possible, you say, I'm going to find the way, or I'm going to make the way.
Once you see that you're suffering either early consequences or severe consequences, all you have to do now is shut down that route, pick another destination and start going that way with some easy disciplines that day by day gather momentum, and now one success leads to another, leads to another. All disciplines affect each other. What's interesting about success is starting a new discipline, a couple of new disciplines, and sure enough, once you've gained just a little bit of success in a couple of new disciplines, it'll inspire you to clean up the rest. Each lack of discipline affects the rest.
You work on your mindset. You read 30 to 40 pages of something positive every day. You can't help but change. I'm an assassin. I'll kill every negative, mediocre cell in your body. You were born for greatness, not to be a victim. No, life happens to everybody. Everybody. And no one escapes it. It's called unavoidable suffering. Life is difficult. So work on your mind. I work on my mind every day. Every day I work on it. There's a calling on your life. And you're greater than your circumstances. You're greater than anything that has ever happened to you.
Indecision is the thief of opportunity. If you don't decide what you're going to do today, the day could get away and you're not very effective. Don't start the day until you have it finished. Is it possible to finish the day before you start it? And the answer is yes. If you don't finish it, the day escapes. And in the morning you say, let's see, what should I do now? In the afternoon you say, hey, time's getting away from me, what should I do now? And now most of the day is lost. Most of the day escapes not being utilized simply because you didn't make those decisions early, at the early part of the day. The decisions we make in the early part of our life sometimes last for a lifetime. If you neglect them and don't make them, sure enough, the time passes and the opportunity sometimes is diminished, and sometimes you spend a lot of time now catching up simply because you didn't make those early decisions. So it's the decisions at the first of the day, it's the decisions at the early part of the month, it's the decisions at the early part of the year that greatly determines what kind of year you're going to have. The decisions you make at the first chance you see opportunity, those decisions. Then we need decisions to correct poor decisions, to overcome our mistakes. It's possible, of course, for all of us to make unwise decisions. At the end of a few years, we say, that decision cost me too much. Cost me a lot of time, cost me a lot of money. But as long as you're alive, there's still a chance to use new decision power to correct the mistakes of decisions that were bad in the past. All of us have the opportunity to do that, but I think Napoleon was right here too. You got to be definite in making decisions so that the opportunity doesn't pass you by. Take advantage.
The people that do that, the people that go against the grain, the people who ignore the naysayers, the haters, the people who turn a deaf ear to people telling them what they can't do. Do what you can do. Give it everything that you have. What are you hungry for? Because when we come out of this, our lives will never be the same again. A lot of people are going to be left behind. A lot of people will be devastated. A lot of people will take themselves out. But a few people, those who are able to rise, a few people, the road to life is straight and narrow, but few there be that find it, because few there be that are hungry. You got to go all out. It takes everything in you. You got to feel that you were chosen for such a time as this. This is an appointment, a divine appointment for your dream.
This could be the greatest time you ever live if you control what you focus on, if you find a more empowering meaning, and if you decide to model the actions of those who succeeded before you. It can be the best financial time, the best emotional time, the best spiritual time of your life, but you better take control of your state. And if you think you're going to do it just by today, you're wrong. You're going to need to get yourself some rituals. So you better do the right thing at the right time, and to do that, you better know what season you're in, and to do that, you better learn how to change your state, how to take control of your own conditioning. That's what I live for.
A good leader has definite plans. Your plans to be financially secure. You got to have good plans. One more on plans, and that is the plan for your personal development. The plan to be better this year than last year. The plan to take the classes, do everything you possibly can to show personal progress. Not just financial progress, but the progress of personality, the progress of communication skills, the progress in how to deal with people. You need those kind of plans. A plan for personal growth, personal development, a plan to be all that you can possibly be. Got to have good plans. A good leader has the habit of doing more than what he gets paid for. What an incredible philosophy this is. It's what we call the service that you put out like seeds in the ground that doesn't bring the harvest immediately, but the harvest is yet to come.
There's no secret to success. There's a system to success. The system works if you work it. If you don't work it, it won't work. But it works if you work it. And that's one four-letter word that most people don't like, that most people won't participate in their own rescue. And there are people who will be presented with an opportunity, who know that they could be laid off at any moment, who know that them keeping their job has nothing to do with how good they are. And yet and still, they'll go to work and have knots in their stomachs, hoping when they open up an email that they have not been told this is your last day. They'll go to work hoping there's not a security guard standing by their desk with a box and say, empty your things in here and take them to the front door and escort them to the parking lot. They go in there hoping it doesn't happen. Why? Because they don't want to do the work. It's an aversion to most people's spirit.